There are things that happen on our humble planet that no one can explain, things that are almost unbelievable, and that, if you only heard them, you would refuse to believe. But when there's video evidence to back them up, well, that changes everything, because now you have no choice, even if your heart tells you not to. These are 19 moments you wouldn't believe unless they were recorded. And if you feel that same spark of intrigue and passion for unearthing amazing discoveries, don't hesitate to subscribe to our channel. It's free and will take you on endless, fascinating adventures that will transform your perception of the world. Let's get started. Number 19. A huge sinkhole opened in Japan. In November 2016, a gigantic sinkhole opened up in a street in the Japanese city of Fukuoka. It initially began as two smaller sinkholes, but as the collapse progressed, they joined together to form a large crack in the ground. The eventual hole in the ground measured 30 meters wide, and fortunately, no one was injured by the hole itself, but it caused power outages, as well as problems with the gas and water supply. There was even a report of an elderly woman slipping on the stairs due to the power outage. Construction on a nearby subway line was believed to be the possible cause. Sinkholes are a strange phenomenon. They often appear suddenly, as if out of nowhere, and have been known to swallow houses and other unfortunate objects that may be nearby. It's crazy. While it may be true that sinkholes appear completely unexpectedly from time to time, they are much more likely to develop slowly over many years, so try not to get too alarmed. A sinkhole is generally a depression in the Earth's surface, usually caused by the movement of soluble rocks like limestone or gypsum, so it's possible to make an educated guess as to where they are most likely to appear. While this is the most typical reason for sinkhole formation, there are other causes, and guess what? Some of them are actually human-caused. What a shock! Activities such as excavating foundations for buildings in places where the natural base of the Earth is unsuitable, or drilling for oil and other resources, or even the illegal dumping of factory waste have all been known to cause sinkholes. If you add storms and floods to human activity, you may discover that you have a recipe for disaster. Number 18. Skydiver faints in mid-air. Skydiving is a relatively risky activity, however you look at it. If you're jumping out of an airplane at several thousand feet, you really have to have at least a little faith that your parachute and everything else will work when you start falling toward Earth. But you know, if you're unlucky enough to discover that your parachute isn't working, well, relax, because you have the rest of your life to fix it after all. But what if you pass out during this already extremely risky business of jumping out of an airplane? You might imagine that would be the end for you, my friend, but maybe you're an extremely lucky person and have the kind of friends who know how to fix such a sticky situation. This video is from 2014 and features a skydiver named Ben Pigeon, but his flying skills didn't quite match those of his namesake this time. He was involved in a mid-air collision with another skydiver and was knocked unconscious. And when you're unconscious and falling through the air, well, it's a bit tricky to successfully release your parachute. Thankfully, a friend managed to pull his ripcord before he plummeted to his doom, so that's a relief. Number 17. Surfer fights a shark Australian surfer. Mick Fanning had a close encounter while competing in an event in South Africa. He made an extraordinary and daring escape after an extremely awkward encounter with not one, but two sharks. The J-Bay Open final was just getting underway when the first shark appeared and approached the defending champion's board, knocking him into the water. The lucky man managed to escape unharmed and somehow punched one of the sharks in the back, kicked, and struggled to escape. Competition organizers then rescued Fanning from the water using jet skis, driving the sharks away. Meanwhile, the entire world watched the drama unfold on live television. Fanning's mother recalled the incident as one of the most horrifying and helpless moments of her life. Can you even imagine? You would be absolutely terrified. In fact, the competition was cancelled, and presumably everyone refrained from getting their feet wet in the ocean for at least a few minutes after that close encounter. Number 16. Whale protects diver from shark. Even the most experienced whale researcher was disturbed and a little bewildered by a very close encounter with a large humpback whale. It's still unclear what the enormous creature's intentions were, but Nan Hauser, the biologist who experienced this incredible encounter, is convinced the whale was trying to save her life. During a trip to the Cook Islands in the South Pacific, Hauser was swimming with whales to study their behavior. They don't normally get this close, and the extraordinary encounter began with the whale pushing Hauser with its mouth closed, carrying her and eventually tucking her under its flipper and pushing her onto its back. Hauser was terrified and didn't know what to make of all the whale's unusual behavior. She was genuinely afraid of dying. These are massive, powerful creatures that can take down a slender woman with a single fin swipe, so yes, it was a justified fear. The footage she recorded during the encounter offered some clues about the whale's motives. Among the other whales visible in the water was a tiger shark swimming nearby. Hauser is convinced the humpback whale was trying to save her from the danger posed by the shark. It's not uncommon for whales to display protective behavior toward other whales and even other species. There are examples of them saving seals and sea lions as well. Number 15. Whale and dolphin play together. This remarkable video shows a humpback whale spinning in the water and a dolphin leaping above it in a seemingly choreographed dance. These two different species appear to be working harmoniously together, even though they're both just swimming in their own way. While they probably haven't practiced their dance moves, it's still an incredible sight to see. But perhaps not so surprising, since dolphins are super smart. Dolphins are extremely social creatures. They learn new skills and then pass them on to each other, and everyone gets smarter. This shared culture of passing on skills is definitely something that makes dolphins one of the smartest marine mammals on the planet. Scientists love studying dolphin behavior. I mean, they're pretty cute and fun to watch, so of course they do. Plus, it means there's a wealth of information gathered about how dolphins learn and interact. It turns out these guys are capable of solving very difficult problems. They can also work together, and you know how two brains are better than one, right? Their social interactions are apparently enhanced by their ability to use a complex communication system, and they can even understand abstract concepts. Maybe we should keep an eye on these guys. If any animal is capable of plotting world domination, it might as well be dolphins, and we wouldn't even see it coming. Number 14. Whale jumps out of nowhere. This video shows a group of people on a whale-watching boat trip having a lovely time when, suddenly, they get exactly what they paid for. Yes, a whale approaches to give them the show they had hoped for all along, except it's a little more surprising than they had anticipated. The humpback whale suddenly burst out of the water quite close to the boat, and the people on board get completely soaked when it splashes back into the water. It's exciting, sure, but with a bit of a wet ending. This was a humpback whale, a type of baleen whale, and they can grow to be between 14 and 17 meters long and weigh up to 40 tons. The one in this video, while still quite large, is actually a baby whale, so just imagine what a full-sized adult could have done. Number 13. Man falls into a sinkhole. We've already seen how sudden and destructive a sinkhole can be, but what happens when it swallows things? Sometimes, even people can literally be swallowed by the ground they're walking on. For a man simply riding a motorcycle down the street, that appears to have been exactly what happened. In 2017, this street camera captured the moment a sinkhole swallowed a man on his motorcycle as he drove along a road in China. The video shows the road collapsing as the sinkhole forms before the ground falls away completely. Seconds later, a man is driving and doesn't see the hole until it's too late and, in a painfully slow motion, falls straight into the crater. He was lucky to escape with only minor injuries. Number 12. Crocodiles on the road. When a certain city in India flooded in many areas, it was after the reservoir overflowed its banks and the river water level rose and flooded the city. This video shows how, as a result of that flood, many crocodiles that are normally confined to the water in the river or reservoir were suddenly free to swim everywhere. The streets were not only filled with water, but also with dangerous predators. The dogs in this video seem somewhat oblivious to the dangers lurking near them until the crocodile seizes its opportunity and pounces on one of the creatures. Stray dogs throughout the city were threatened by the free-roaming reptiles, and some even fell victim to the hungry animals. The forest department was dispatched to try to capture the crocodiles and return them to a location where they could no longer simply swim into people's homes. Number 11. Sasquatch in dashcam footage. Next, we have footage purportedly from a truck's dashcam as the driver pulled into this rather creepy-looking parking lot. The video was apparently captured in the early morning hours of May 30th, 2024. The truck driver was picking up some equipment near the Sunchild First Nation Reserve in Alberta, Canada, and it appears the truck's lights illuminated the trees and revealed a very hairy figure. Now, is that Sasquatch, or is it a gorilla mask stuck in a tree? I'll let you decide. Bigfoot, or Sasquatch, is a legendary and incredibly shy creature said to inhabit remote, wild areas, primarily in North America. Described as large and ape-like, it has captured people's imaginations for centuries. Numerous alleged sightings, footprints, and blurry photographs, and they're always blurry, even with all the HD cameras we have now, fuel the ongoing debate about its existence. While mainstream science dismisses the creature as a product of folklore and misidentification, true believers argue that the vast, uncharted forests provide plenty of hiding places for something like it to exist, which is a reasonably compelling argument, actually. However, there are people who have dedicated their lives to searching for Bigfoot, and yet the myth remains, well, a myth. So it could be that this is the shyest animal of all, or, and I hate to disappoint you, it could all be a bunch of old nonsense. Go ahead, share your thoughts on Bigfoot and this grainy, blurry image in the comments section below. Number 10. Bear caught in a grease trap. Bear cubs are curious creatures and also quite hungry, so the grease trap outside this restaurant seemed to offer the little animal an opportunity to investigate something that smelled like food and might be hiding a snack. Except it wasn't. It was just a dirty, old grease trap that hadn't been cleaned properly, and that bear had a very distressing time as a result. The bear had tried to lick the grease from inside the container and ended up getting stuck. It had tried so hard to free itself from the trap, but hadn't managed to, and was exhausted and completely stressed. It had become dehydrated and overheated as it struggled in the sun, and it looked like it had been stuck in the trap for over 12 hours. Its situation was becoming desperate, and thankfully, animal rescue teams were finally able to free the poor bear and help it recover. Number 9. Boy meets a huge bear. This video was captured by a home security camera and shows the extremely disturbing moment a 7-year-old boy came face to face with a large black bear right on his own street. The boy, whose name is Huxley, was riding his scooter down the street when a black bear spotted him and ran toward him. Huxley simply stood still and stared at the bear, and the bear then stopped and looked back at him. Then a neighbor saw the encounter and began raising his arms and moving toward the animal as it moved behind a car. The neighbor continued shooing the bear away until it ran away. The boy had apparently been told that if he ever encountered a bear, it was best to remain calm. The other main pieces of advice, if you encounter a bear, are to make yourself look as large and dominant as possible, but not to run, because that will cause them to chase you. Being chased by a bear isn't anyone's idea of fun for an afternoon activity, is it? Number 8. Giant squid attack surfboard, as if surfing wasn't already incredibly fraught with danger. You know, like sharks and surprise waves, drownings and speedboats, and all sorts of marine things out to get you. There's also the risk of being attacked by a giant squid. Not a regular one, a giant one. So it looks like this guy may have accidentally caught his surfboard cord on a massive squid. He pulls on the cord, and then the squid comes with him. Well, duh. I know surfers aren't really famous for their brilliance, but come on. Anyway, after literally pulling the squid onto his surfboard, he's shocked when it starts wrapping its tentacles around it, you know, like a squid would. So, there you have it. A squid sort of attacking a surfboard, but frankly, it probably would have gone on about its own business if given half a chance. Let's move on quickly, shall we? Number 7. Dolphins and surfers sharing waves. It's true that despite all our human-centered ideas about absolutely everything, the whole world isn't just for us humans. Other things live here, and sometimes even enjoy it, even though we've basically wrecked much of the planet to this point. Here's a video in which a group of human surfers share the waves with some dolphins who are also enjoying the ocean. They seem to take the same kind of pleasure in jumping through the waves as the surfers do when they catch them. This creates a beautiful moment of people at least vaguely in harmony with the animal kingdom. Number 6. Kangaroo shakes hands with humans. When these two men rescued a kangaroo from a frozen river in Australia, it looked, for all intents and purposes, like the kangaroo was trying to shake their hands in gratitude. But in reality, that's not the case. This is all rather absurd, and the kangaroo most likely went into the water because it felt threatened, probably by all the burly men on bicycles. Kangaroos go into the water as a means of defense, especially against a larger animal. They use their strength to wrestle the opponent into the water and then literally try to hold the opponent underwater until they drown, which is, well, interesting. Anyway, these so-called rescuers made sure the whole incident was captured on camera so they could upload it to the internet, where it belongs, among 50 million other videos of dubious rescues and unlikely animal behavior. It's a popular thing, after all. Oh, you're thinking I'm a grumpy old man who hates the internet, but what do you guys think? Is this really a genuine offer of a handshake, or is it staged and, frankly, a bit of a fiasco? Go ahead and let your opinions flow in the comments section below, because I know you want to. Number 5. Hippopotamus attacks 3 lions, generally speaking. If you pit a lion against most other animals, you'd probably expect the lion to come out the victor. It's not for nothing that king of the jungle thing, you know. And if you have 3 lions, well, you'd expect it to be obvious. Except in this video, the lions are stepping out of their comfort zone and into the territory of an animal that doesn't mince words when it comes to expressing its displeasure. These big beasts are indeed aggressive, but they primarily use their jaws to eat plants, up to 36 kilograms of grass a day. Hippos are generally herbivores, though they will sometimes eat dead animals, which occasionally includes other hippos. Ouch! A grumpy hippo will show its displeasure by opening its mouth very wide in a super threatening manner, or by charging toward the source of its irritation. Either way, they may look cute, but keep a safe distance because these creatures can be terribly grumpy. And when they're in the water, hippos become swift and graceful creatures with as much strength and bite power as they have on land. In this case, they have these lions right where they want them, or rather, where they don't. This hippo eliminates these lions from the watering hole quickly and efficiently. These lions don't look as impressive as they usually do. Number 4. Car with a giant bull as a passenger. Well, you don't see this every day, that's for sure. This is crazy footage of a man driving his full-grown bull named Howdy Doody around in the passenger seat of his car. Yes, it's a real bull and it's huge, and the guy has decided the best way to transport it through the streets of Norfolk, Nebraska is inside his car. The police officers who stopped the vehicle were stunned by the call they received, saying there was a vehicle with a cow inside rolling through town, but it also turned out to be true. The owner had removed the roof on the passenger side of the 1996 Ford Crown Victoria to accommodate his unusual 000 kg bovine friend. In fact, the car was a retired old patrol car, and it turned out he'd driven that cow before and never had a problem. Only he hadn't received the proper approval from the Nebraska State Patrol, because apparently that's all you need to transport animals in a modified vehicle in Nebraska. Well, okay then. Number 3. Train enthusiast almost dies now. You'd imagine that a person with a passion for trains would have at least some awareness of the dangers these particular modes of transportation can present, but apparently not. This guy was nearly crushed by a modern, very fast train while watching and filming an older, much slower train. Filmed in Thurston, Suffolk, UK, this video was also taken by a train enthusiast. but they almost captured a man meeting his maker instead of the train they were evidently trying to film. So, as the long-awaited steam train rolls through the station, the very excited train enthusiasts watch and film it. This is the modern world after all, and can you really say something happened if you don't document it to the end? It seems this train-loving man isn't paying enough attention to his surroundings as he stands very, very close to the track to get the best view of the passing vintage train. While his attention is on the steam train, a high-speed train is rapidly approaching from behind, and he doesn't see it at all. People around him suddenly notice, but he remains oblivious until the train passes by and literally grazes him. He was incredibly lucky to have avoided being crushed. Honestly, it really looked like he was already finished. Number 2. Hurdler launches himself over the finish line. The extraordinarily named Infinite Tucker is an athlete whose antics, as well as his name, have ensured that he is very unforgettable. At the SEC Outdoor Championships, Infinite Tucker was competing against his Texas AANDM teammate, Robert Grant, in the closing meters of the 400-meter hurdles final. It turns out that Tucker had placed second the previous year, so it's possible he was especially focused on winning by any means necessary in this particular race. No problem, it's going to be Tucker. Yep, he dives. With that in mind, he literally leapt headfirst over the finish line, throwing himself into the ground to cross first and win the gold medal. During his finish line interview, Tucker said he just saw his girl watching from the stands and jumped up for a hug, which had nothing to do with winning, and graciously conceded that all of his teammates had worked just as hard. Well, all right then. Number 1. Alligator climbs a fence. Now, I'm not exactly sure why this information is so crazy that it warranted a spot on the evening news, but apparently it did, and here we are. This is a very short video, just seconds long, capturing the moment an alligator climbs a fence. And I mean, to be blunt, how did all those people in Florida think alligators got into their swimming pools? There it goes, over the fence. Did they just fly there? Can they levitate? Was it magic? Did they dig underground tunnels with moles? Well, probably not. Most of them probably just climb fences because it makes sense. They have toes and feet and appendages, and they're not exactly the dumbest animals, you know? So here's the surprisingly cute video of an alligator climbing a fence and landing in a sort of undignified belly flop on the other side. Well, I think that's all we have from the realm of amazing internet videos for you today. Which of these blew your mind, and which was a little less convincing? Go ahead and tell me all about your thoughts in the comments section below. Be sure to check out other cool things popping up on screen, and I'll see you next time. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe for more intriguing and exciting content. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next adventure.